everyone, it's Kat, and I am finally back with another episode of Let's Play. Today we will be playing a game of Oxygen Not Included. Oxygen Not Included is a space colony simulation game where you have to manage your colonists and help them dig, build, and maintain a subterranean asteroid base. The description provided on Steam states that you'll need water, warmth, food, and oxygen to keep them alive, and even more than that to keep them happy. The version of the game we will be playing today includes the thermal upgrade, which makes managing temperatures a more integral part of the gameplay. I haven't had a chance to play around with it since the update, so I don't know what we're getting into. I wasn't able to find an actual release date, but alpha version of Oxygen Not Included has been around since late fall of last year. I know I'm a little behind the times on this one. I had initially hoped to do a first impressions video months ago, but it was during that time period that I had a little bit of computer trouble and was playing on someone else's machine, so game time was very scattered and short, which makes it hard to put together a video. When choosing duplicants, you want to balance out their positive attributes and their negative ones. Destructive stress responses are a nightmare, so I try to find vomiters. I also look to make sure that the negative traits don't cancel out their positive ones. It does you no good to have someone with a high learning skill but can't do research, or a high cooking trait but is afraid of the kitchen, for example. So let's take a look at what we've been given here and move from there. I noticed that we do have one destructive person, but their decor expectation is -5. That's pretty handy. They're also naturally robust, which means that they're immune to common illnesses. Narcoleptic means they fall asleep anytime, any place. This has killed my people before. They will fall asleep while in water and drown before you can wake them up. So I am probably not going to keep this person. Let's take a look at our other guys too. Anemic, negative athletics, but diver's lungs, which means they use less air. Decent decor expectation, so we can work with that. Scaredy cat means they do not do combat, but they're good at digging. And they're a tinkerer. So we'll take those two and we'll get rid of the destructive one. Another diver's lungs, that's awesome. Can't do research. See, they have a +3 learning, but they can't do research. That's kind of a waste of points. Naturally robust, bottomless stomach means they eat more calories. Oof, that's always a hard one to keep up with. That's all right, we'll do that. On to Catopia. Your crew has awoken miles beneath the surface of an unfamiliar terrestrial body. Oddly, they have no recollection of how they got there. It might be best to start digging. Well, that's the understatement of the world. The first thing I like to do is take a look at what's around me. If you start blindly digging in one direction or another, you can end up in trouble really fast. So I like to try to look at what's around. We've got tons of copper around us. That's this kind of gold, orangey brown stuff. That's good. These are all vacuum pockets, which means we'll have to open them up slowly or we'll deprive our people of oxygen. We've got one little patch of breathable oxygen. This is carbon dioxide. We do have some water above the base. We're going to have to be careful if we ever tap into that, especially considering that all that's holding it back is this little bit of sand. If we destabilize this sand at all, this water will come crashing down and can flood the base if we're not careful. We do have water below us, which is useful. And another little pocket of air. I suspect that what I will do is kind of dig off in this direction and down. And kind of leave the right side alone for now. I'm not sure. Oh, we've got hydrogen over there too. Okay, yeah, I think building left is going to be our best bet. So let's start digging. Duplicants are too tall and they can reach 2 above them. So you want to make your dig out spaces 4 high. And once they start digging, you'll be able to start building. And I'm just going to extend the floor out this way. This little blue stone that you see the bubbles coming out of, that is oxalite. It does eventually degrade, so we'll eventually lose this. But it's a good way to give you a start. If you have not played this game or other similarly based games before, it uses your typical WASD keys for movement. Your mouse wheel is a zoom in, zoom out. Colony management, duplicants do not have to be micromanaged, but you'll want to manage projects as a whole. If you need them done in a specific order, you can use your prioritize button or priorities inside the menu to be able to select what happens first. Duplicate movement lets you track where they're going. If you're unsure of whether they can reach something, this is a good way to do so. I don't use it very often. I'm just kind of used to what they can reach. This is probably a good one for us since I have not done this. The thermal comfort overlay will allow you to view all areas where duplicants cannot regulate their temperature and become uncomfortable. So that's this little temperature thingy. Aha! So that lets us see that like right over here is a hot spot and these guys are warm and this area is cold. Yeah, that works. All right, they are done digging and have nothing to do, so it's time to give them more assignments. One of the first things that you want to build when you are doing a game like this is an outhouse. Especially in this particular game, if they cannot relieve themselves in some place designated like an outhouse, they will just randomly pee on the floor, and then you have a contaminated mess to clean up, which makes all of your duplicants unhappy and stressed out. So it's just best to get this out of the way. One of the things to keep in mind, since in the beginning all you can build is an outhouse, as the game advances you can build more advanced things like a lavatory, is that outhouses do produce polluted dirt, which can contaminate the air around it. So you don't want to put them in sleeping quarters or near power generation stations, because then people will be breathing in contaminants. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and push this out even further. And then I'm gonna go ahead and build our first roof. I didn't even count. I want to eventually keep this even. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. Yep, that'll work. There we go, give them something to do, speed this up a little bit. And they're gonna do the ladder and stuff first because build does take precedence over just digging dirt. Colony requires a food source. Yeah, well, I don't want to build a mush thingy yet because I think I'm gonna be able to get away with using natural resources if I can open some of this up. I'll just go ahead and drag that all the way up there. They won't be able to build it for a while, but that's okay. And then 1, 2. Are we out of sandstone? Really? Wow. That's not normal. I don't normally run out of sandstone early on in the game. Got lots of copper though. Ah, nighttime. Yay. At nighttime, your duplicants sleep. That part should be relatively obvious. As you can see, the guys, because they don't have beds, just plopped down on the ground where they were. I do not have a loud sleeper, so I don't have to worry about it. If you have a loud sleeper, you're going to have to plan to keep their beds away from the other duplicants, or they will be woken up in the middle of the night, and then they end up with a bad sleep buff. Creating a hamster wheel to generate power, and then 2 little batteries. The reason I do 2 is because it takes up the same space as a large battery, so that once I have the upgrade, I can put the bigger battery there. Little guy's just nomming away over here. Okay, let's see. Granite and ice. ice, snow. Okay. I don't know what snow would be used for in this game. Alright, so that's all connected. We're gonna make that a relatively high priority and then get on to the research station. I always try to start my basic research as soon as is possible within the game. The research lets you advance things in the game, makes you more efficient. So I try to move things forward as quickly as possible in that area, pretty much pushing research above anything else priority-wise, including food, which is probably dangerous. But so far that part hasn't really bitten me in the ass. But that lets me make the base more efficient. Like, for example, instead of building a micro musher, the first thing I'm doing is undoing the farming so that I can take advantage of all these beautiful plants up here and have my own farm. So cue that up. And I tell them to do it infinitely, so they just keep making it. And then they're going to continue digging out all of this copper. And we have a doohickey, a hatch. They will eat resources and turn them into coal. I've seen a lot of people try to capture them and turn them into coal generations, but I think they fixed the bug where you can just give them a box full of food to eat out. I don't think that happens anymore. Let's zoom out here a little bit and just kind of let this... They're struggling. Oh, they're going all the way up there. Huh. Anyway, let's continue kind of fleshing out the base a little bit here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. And nap time. I'm going to prioritize the oxygen thingy over the other stuff. I don't want to jinx it, but the Great Dane's been quiet for like 10 minutes. It's amazing. He does have an off button. If I can draw in a straight line. Go. And all these little red indicators tell us that we are out of sandstone again. New duplicants available. That'll be nice. Let's see what we've got. 2 vomiters. So we'll look between those. Loud sleeper and mouth breather. So we'll take that guy. All right, and we will just let these kind of run, and I will check back in with you guys as soon as they get a bunch of this dug out. All right, let's take a look at some of the stuff we got. They got a good chunk of this dug out. They're gonna keep working on that, but we've got some new things going on. Recycles carbon dioxide into oxygen. We can now do the garden, so that's what I'm gonna start here. And I went ahead and jinxed it, apparently, because now the Great Dane's awake again. Yay. I need a new research picked. All right. I personally like to keep as many of the resources as possible in storage bins. I know some people just say leave it on the ground like this. That really bothers me. I find it makes it difficult to spot messes and stuff like that as the game goes further along. So let's go ahead and solve that problem now. I'm just gonna make a bank of storage bins. I know some people who get very meticulous about their resource management, placing various containers near machines and only allow certain resources in each container. With the exception of items that produce contaminants like the polluted dirt or slime, I really don't worry about what goes in what bin. I just like to store everything kind of up off the floor. I do, however, try to store the contaminated items like polluted dirt away from sleeping quarters and the power generation stations to keep them from contaminating the areas, just like you do with the placement of the outhouse. So we're just gonna go with all for now. I can tweak it as I start getting a bunch of slime or something. We still don't have any algae, and they're struggling to breathe. Kind of, let's see what's going on. Wow. Our base is pretty much unbreathable. Okay, let's figure out the algae problem. The best bit of algae I see is this little one right over here. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. And somebody's suffocating. Where are we suffocating? Because we ruptured carbon dioxide into the base? Okay, we seriously need to get this going, like, yesterday. And dead. Well, that's great. I lost the whole colony in like 5 minutes.